Okay, Erev Tov. Good evening, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We have some new members. No pressure, but we have Mr. Aaron Livian, we have Mr. Zach Fulati. We have a lot of people here. That this is if this is the first time you're jumping on a moving train, so just be aware that it's moving. But we got a lot of people here, as you can see, who could help you out. Grab your hands. Mr. Azizi, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? Wow, Mr. Kamali, I feel it's like a reunion. We haven't had this many people in person in a long time, and the Zoom, I'm about to turn off the Zoom. There's only 3 people on the Zoom. Wow, no. Yoni's in person too. Okay. Shalom Aleichem, Mr. Zarbaveli. Shalom. I see your name
Hello.
is there.
Bye.
How are you? Okay, we have some fun. Oh, Mr.
There are 5 people on the Zoom.
After your honeymoon, after your wedding, it's the first time. Wow, Baruch Hashem, everyone, Mazal Tov. Baruch Hashem. Really, what is going on? It's a full packed house, and they don't even have like meat poppers here. They only have some dairy cookies. But good, Baruch Hashem. Okay, we have a lot to do. Tonight we have some very, very practical halachot that are related to tefillah, related to tefilin, related to Kriyat Shema. We have many of these halachot, as we learn them in the Gemara. I'm going to get into the halacha of Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam as well. A lot of practical halachot, and hopefully, as I'm learning these halachot, what happens is I just remind myself and I inspire myself. Because there's many of these halachot that things that we might know, but we don't always do. And then these gemarot are good reminders. Someone was telling me this recently. Someone was telling me like now his Kriyat Shema, he makes sure his emet, he's making sure he's doing the right way. And like someone was telling me he was having a lot of bad dreams or something the other night, because we spoke about dreams 2 weeks ago. But anyway, we're going to Be'ezrat Hashem speak about where we left off. For the gentlemen who are new to the class, we're gonna do our best to get you up and running. And Be'ezrat Hashem, it's gonna be fun. We have some fun practical gemarot. We're on the last 3 lines of Daf Yudalet Amud Bet. So if you're using the art scroll, it's gonna be 14B4. The last couple lines of Amar Ula, so it's in the right column if you're looking in the art scroll, and it's the last couple lines in the Gemara here. Let's go. We're going to get started. We're going to talk about a lot of relevant halachot, including things that are as relevant as tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning as relevant as tonight. Let's go. Share screen. So recording is on. Let's go. Amar Ula. So this is in the bottom of Daf Yudalet Amud Bet. If you recall, the last Gemara that we learned, as a quick reminder, there was a story where there was a rabbi who he did not wear his tefillin when he said Shema Yisrael. In the morning, he said Shema Yisrael once, and when he said Shema Yisrael, he wasn't wearing his tefillin. And all the Gemara was saying, is this a practice that he would do all the time? He would first say Shema, then he would wear tefillin. Maybe he believes that before you do the mitzvah of tefillin, which is a mitzvah, it's an action, maybe the first thing you have to do is accept God. And philosophically, Shema Yisrael is accepting Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. I accept God. Maybe that's why. The Gemara says, what are you talking about? It was just one time this happened. One time. Why? Because the person that was supposed to bring his tefillin didn't bring it. So what happened? It was in the morning. He was sitting there in the kanisa. He's praying. It's time to pray. His tefillin didn't come yet. Someone left his tefillin at home, so he asked someone to go get it. In the meantime, he prayed Shema Yisrael. So don't learn from here that he thinks that you should always say Shema Yisrael without your tefillin on. It happened once. One time, the time of Shema was going to pass. He said Shema Yisrael. It's a very important story. But the Gemara now leads into and says, what happens if someone regularly says Shema Yisrael without wearing their tefillin? Okay? I'm not talking about Shabbat, because Shabbat, you're not supposed to wear tefillin. And we're not talking about Arvit, because Arvit, you're not supposed to be wearing tefillin. We're talking about a time at which it makes sense to be wearing your tefillin when you're saying the Shema Yisrael. For example, in the morning. Let's say someone says, I don't want to wear my tefillin in the morning. Why? I have to run. And this isn't a one-time thing. This is like, I want to build my schedule this way. I'll pray in the morning. I'll say Shema Yisrael, but I won't wear my tefillin. I'll wear my tefillin when I get back home. Incidentally, I know some kids who go to a public school that they're rushed in the morning. They've asked me this type of question of, is it okay if I wear tefillin when I get home? Right? So this Gemara is very relevant for that topic. Someone says, I don't want to wear tefillin when I pray in the morning. I want to wear tefillin in the afternoon. Can I do that? So let's see what the Gemara says. Okay, ready? Here we go. Daf Yudalet Amud Bet. Amar Ula, Ula said, someone pointed out to the guys that are here that if they don't know where it is, point out where it is. You got it. Okay, I see you're pointing. You know where it is, Aaron? You got it? Okay, good. Amar Ula. Ula said, we're gonna take care of you guys. Kol hakoreh kriyat Shema below tefillin. When someone reads Shema while they are not wearing tefillin, ke'ilu me'id edut sheker be'atzmo. There's two ways of explaining this, but the first one is the person is testifying falsely against himself. What does that mean? That means he's incriminating himself. He's going to recite the Shema. Shema says, "Ukshartam leot al yadecha." Put a tefillin on your arm. Put it on your head, and you're not doing it. So you're incriminating yourself. You're saying God said in the Shema Yisrael that I should do this X, Y, and Z, and I'm not doing it. So you're hurting yourself almost. It's like you're going to court and you're swearing against yourself. You're hurting yourself. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says a little bit different, but very similar concept. It's as though you're bringing a sacrifice, but it's not complete. When a person brings a korban olah, which is an animal of an olah offering, it's accompanied with a flour offering. It comes together. Or v'zevach belo nesachin. Similarly, there's sacrifices that have to be brought with libations, where they pour wine on the aron, on the ark, when the sacrifice is being brought. In other words, you're doing an action incompletely. You're bringing the sacrifice, but there's things that have to come with it. You're not following the details. So the first opinion says your mitzvah of Shema is fine. It's just that while you're saying Shema, you end up hurting yourself because you're not doing tefillin. The second view of Rabbi Yochanan is like, no, your Shema is incomplete. It's like you're bringing an olah without the mincha. It's like your very Shema that you're saying is somewhat incomplete. The two have to go together, okay? So this concept, as I said, when you say Shema Yisrael at night, you don't have to wear tefillin. So you're not testifying against yourself. On Shabbat, you're not, so it's not. But the issue is when someone has to wear tefillin at that time and they choose not to. So I gave that example. Sometimes, let's say, for example, someone has to take a flight. And they're going on a flight, and the flight, they don't feel safe doing it. But the time of Shema is going to end. Okay? So a situation like that, all right, these things happen. So what happens? So you say the Shema Yisrael, then afterwards, when you feel safer, then you put on your tefillin. That's an example. Or another example that Tomer gave this answer as soon as we mentioned the rabbi we spoke about last week. He said Shema without his tefillin on. What did you say? Why would he say Shema without his tefillin on? Because there's a time. There's a time that a person has to say Shema Yisrael in the morning by. So if that time is approaching, and that time could be printed, and we've learned about it. We've spoken about this in the past. There are times, and you could check if you go to certain websites, the latest time to say Shema. It gives you a time. So let's say the latest time is 9 o'clock, and you wake up at 8:55, and you're saying, "Look, I have to go to the bathroom, wash my hands, and say Shema Yisrael. If I'm going to go put on my tefillin now, I'm going to miss this." So a situation like that, should you do it? Of course you should do it, because you're going to miss out. So there are times where it makes sense that you say Shema without your tefillin on. But if you could control your schedule, like the example that I gave, someone says, in the morning, I'll say Shema Yisrael, I'll do Amidah, and I'll do tefillin at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still daytime, right? Yes, but your Shema Yisrael is lacking. Situations like that. That's why the practice is we wear our tefillin when we say Shema Yisrael in the morning. Okay? Questions? Go ahead.
Even our community, we have a Shachri minyan that's at 9:30. It's past the Zman of Kriyat Shema. So if whoever's praying Shachrit there with tefillin should, in theory, be saying Shema before without tefillin.
Yeah.
But that's a regular schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not ideal, you're saying?
It's okay. So the question of having a minyan, a 9 a.m. minyan, right? So is that the best? Well, you're not saying Shema Yisrael in the right time if you're going to that minyan. So what do you have to do? You have to say Shema Yisrael before. By saying Shema Yisrael before, you're fulfilling your mitzvah of Shema Yisrael, but you're not doing it with tefillin, which is pragmatic. You're also not doing it with the berachot. There's berachot to say before Shema, berachot to say after Shema. So is that ideal? Absolutely not. It's not ideal. The question is, what's the alternative?
Better that than not having.
Right, exactly. So if someone says, like, I'm not going to go to minyan at this time, set up a 9 a.m. minyan for me so that I could come, of course, that's better. Of course, it's better than not going. But if someone is in control of their schedule and they can plan it out, it's much better to pray with a minyan before the Zman of Shema. There's no question. No one's going to say it's better. What the 9 a.m. minyan is better than no minyan, right? Not going to minyan at all. And Bezrat Hashem, you have how many people come? Did anyone here come to 9 a.m. minyan? It's a large crowd. How many people come here? It's a yeah, you have over 50 people coming, and I don't know if all of them wouldn't come, but I'm sure there's a portion of them that wouldn't make it earlier. So how are you going to take it away from it? And then on top of that, there are parts of the year that they are making the right time, right? So it's like there's maybe a few months out of the year that they're not going to get the right time. Is it worth abolishing it? No, of course not. You offer it, but you educate. How you educate? You say, okay, if you're going to this minyan, make sure you're saying Shema Yisrael before. You're not doing it with your tefillin on. Okay, there's another option. At home, put on your tefillin and say Shema Yisrael. You could do that also. Or let's say in this example, let's say the latest time of saying Shema is 9:05. So what you can do is you could come to Beit Knesset, put on your tefillin, say Shema, and then start the 9 a.m. minyan, which is in fact, let's say on Shabbat. This is important for being aware of the Zman. You should always try to say it. Much better to say it with the tefillin. Much better to try to say it in the order of the tefillah. Yes, questions? Mordechai, go ahead. Okay. So Ula says that when someone says Shema without tefillin, he's incriminating himself. By the way, there's different ways of explaining it, but this is how I'm explaining it, that it's testifying against yourself. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan says, you're not testifying against yourself. You're bringing a sacrifice without all of its parts. Okay? So, Rabbi...
I'm saying that it's not okay. The other one saying it's fine. It's just a bad idea.
Okay. It's amazing because Rabbeinu Yonah actually says it on the flip case. How so? Here's how. Rabbeinu Yonah says, is your mitzvah of Shema good or not? According to Ula, your mitzvah of Shema, it's just as you're saying Shema, you're calling yourself out. So your Shema, check. But you're opening your mouth to hurt yourself. Because you're saying I should be wearing tefillin and I'm not. So your Shema is fine. Your tefillin is not good. And you're calling yourself out. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan is saying, no, your Shema Yisrael is incomplete. It's like bringing a sacrifice without all of the details. It's an incomplete. So I like how you guys are saying it. You guys are saying that the second one is saying you got checked for this, but you didn't complete it. Whereas the first one is saying, no, your whole thing is false. Whereas actually Rabbeinu Yonah says the opposite. Rabbeinu Yonah says in the first answer where he says you're testifying against yourself, your Shema is fine. It's just that you're making yourself look like a fool. But your Shema is fine. Whereas the second answer that says you're bringing a sacrifice without all of its pieces, you're saying your mitzvah of Shema is incomplete. Regardless, that doesn't really make a difference, right? The point is that everyone agrees that this is not a practice you should do. But yeah, it's a very good nuanced point that you're picking up on. Yes. Yeah.
Teach your kids and put on CC, like we don't do those things in the morning. Let's say someone's always sitting in the morning.
Okay, excellent question. Now this could turn into Shiur Shalem, into like the tzitzit. I'll just say very briefly that the nature of the mitzvah of tzitzit and the nature of the mitzvah of tefillin is very different. Okay, the one is called a mitzvah chiyuvit. It's an obligation to wear tzitzit, and the other one is a mitzvah kiyumit. Mitzvah kiyumit is it's an obligation to wear tefillin. It's a mitzvah chiyuvit, you have an obligation. Mitzvah kiyumit is a mitzvah that's a contingent. It's a contingent mitzvah. Why? Because what the Torah says is that when you wear a four-cornered garment, the garment needs to have strings on its corners. Okay? Why is that a contingent mitzvah? Because If your garment doesn't have four corners, you're technically not doing anything wrong by not wearing tzitzit. The Torah's requirement is when you have a four-cornered garment, make sure there's strings on it. So if I say that when you have a four-cornered garment, you have to have strings on it. If I'm not wearing tzitzit, as long as it's not a four-cornered garment, it's fine. Now, if I'm wearing a four-cornered garment without strings on it, and I say that, yeah, it's a problem, right? Yeah, absolutely, it's a problem. But not wearing tzitzit is not the same thing as not wearing tefillin, because the Torah says you should wear tefillin. You should put it, you should wrap it on your arm, you should put it on your head. So the nature of the mitzvot are different. Okay? Good? Let's keep going. Let's go. We have some good stuff. All
One
right.
question, Rabbi. Sorry,
Yes,
can I
go
ask
ahead.
something?
Go ahead.
Just like, how do we learn that? Like, we understand that Shema is its own mitzvah and Tefillin is its own mitzvah, but where are they learning that they have to be simultaneous?
The fact that in the Shema Yisrael it says Ukshartam leot al yadecha v'ayut tzva b'neinecha. When you're saying Shema, you're saying that I should be putting on tefillin.
But
So
during Shema, it doesn't mean during Shema. It just says you should put on Tefillin. It doesn't mean same thing with mezuzah, writing the mezuzah. You're not writing the mezuzah when you put on Tefillin or when you're saying Shema.
So the same thing would be true if you're sitting in a house without a mezuzah and you're saying this, then it's a problem. You're testifying against yourself also. Yes, it's the same concept. Same concept. It doesn't mean that at that moment you need to be wrapping it. It's that you should be wearing tefillin. It should be on your head, and you're saying that, and it's not on your head.
But it doesn't have to be while you're saying the Shema.
Yeah.
That's my point.
It doesn't have correct. It doesn't have to be while you're saying Shema. When you're saying the Shema, okay, it's like this. It's like someone is saying while they're eating a cheeseburger, someone is reading the pasuk that says you should not be eating a cheeseburger while you're doing it. It's one thing that you're doing something wrong, and then two, it's like as you're saying it while you should be doing it. You guys saw this? There's like a video a long time ago, and like this whole skit about the eruv. And this guy, he took a hat and he put like a string around the hat, and he started eating bacon and dipping it in milk inside the thing because he's in an eruv. Okay, whatever. That's just like a random thought that came to my mind. But yeah, okay, Ilan, you're right that the Shema Yisrael, it does not require you to wear tefillin at that time. That's why you could do it on Shabbat. On Shabbat, what do you do? What do you do for Arvit? So it's clear. What we're saying is that when there's a time that you should be wearing tefillin, which is during the daytime, and you're not doing it, that's a problem. And then you're going and you're saying the Shema Yisrael, which is saying you should be doing it. It's adding fuel to the fire. Does it change anything? It doesn't change anything. Practically speaking, what does this mean? Nothing. Like I said, if it's in a moment that you're going to miss saying Shema, halachically, you still have to say the Shema without your tefillin on. This doesn't mean you shouldn't, but it's a something sensitivity you should have. I have a question. What about Tisha B'Av? Okay, we have next week. Let's just talk about this for a second. What do we do in the morning of Tisha B'Av?
We don't put on tefillin and shacharit.
Shacharit, no tefillin, right? Shacharit, you don't put tefillin, okay? So is there a problem with that? What's the problem? Okay, so are you being me'it sheker al atzmo? Is this the problem of this Gemara, that you're incriminating yourself? So in the morning, we pray, of the morning of Tisha B'Av, we don't wear tefillin in Kanisa. So when you don't wear it, is it a problem? Because you're saying, Shotam leot al yadecha.
In this case, according to our tradition, there's no need to.
Okay, very good. So Jay is making a good point. He's saying, no, we have our custom is not to wear tefillin, so you're not incriminating yourself. If it's like incriminating yourself, you could, and Hashem says, how can you do this? You could say, that's my minhag. Like that's not the problem. But Hashem is aware that it's Tisha B'Av, so Jane is making a good point. Okay, exactly. Arvit, you don't wear it. Now, here's the issue. Shabbat, exactly. So what you're saying is Tisha B'Av and Arvit and Shabbat is the same. Issue is not everyone agrees. According to the Kav HaChaim and according to the Ben Ish Chai, it's not the same. What's the difference? Tisha B'Av, we do wear tefillin. Don't we wear tefillin? Night, we don't wear tefillin. Shabbat, we don't wear tefillin. Tisha B'Av, we do. So you can't say it's the same thing. And in fact, because of this, the practice of the Ben Ish Chai and the Kav HaChaim say what a person should do is, before they go to Bet Knesset on Tisha B'Av, at home, in private, B'tzinah, they should put on their tefillin and they should say the Shema Yisrael. Because otherwise, when you say Shema Yisrael later, in the Bet Knesset without having already fulfilled your mitzvah tefillin for that day. This is in fact what the Ben Ish Chai says. This is in fact the practice that he guides us to. Now, do our community custom, do people do that? It seems like no. It seems like our custom is not to, but this is the practice that Rabbi Ben Chaim does. And I'll be honest, I try to. Sometimes I don't. Because depending on the timing, if I'm going to end up being late for minyan, it's okay. We have what to rely on not to do it. But the Kavach Chaim and the Ben Ish Chai say that a person in the morning, before they go pray Shacharit, they should put on the tefillin and say Shema Yisrael. Why? Because of this reason. Because they say it's not the same as Shabbat. It's not the same as Arvit. There's a difference. The difference is it's a day that you're obligated in wearing tefillin. We don't do it in public because it's a public form of mourning, but in private you should. So they're just bringing this up. Yeah. You put tefillin on. You do. Yes. You do. We put it on, but the issue is the Shema Yisrael of the morning. This is exactly what the Ben Ish Chai says. So that this way, by you said your Shema in the morning with your tefillin on, so you're not making Halachot. Okay, but I'm just bringing this out because this exact Gemara is what the Ben Ish Chai says to tell us why on the morning of the Shabbat you should put your tefillin on. I'm not telling you to do it. There are different customs. If you want to know what to do, it seems like the community custom is not to do this, not necessarily. But I've heard many people do, including Rabbi Ben Chaim, and I try to do it myself. Yes. There was another question. Yes. Yes. He says, okay, also you throw in Kaddish Li. They say Kaddish Li. But the real thing that the Ben Ish Chai says is to say Shema Yisrael. Yeah. Because otherwise, you're going to be incriminating yourself when you say the Shema Yisrael and you haven't worn tefillin during this day yet. Okay, let's keep going. Wow, Rama, shalom alechem, Rama. You get a special shalom because I see your face. Okay, let's go. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, you know what? Let's just make this clear for everyone. Harotzeh sheikabel alav ol machut shamayim shalema. If someone wants to accept God and the heavenly yoke in a complete way, this is what you should do. And now we're turning to 15a of Tedvav Amud Aleph. Yipaneh, number 1, go to the bathroom. Okay, this is the first thing someone should do in the morning. They should go to the bathroom. Ve'itol yadav. Then they should do netilat yadayim. Wash your hands. Ve'haniach tefillin. Put on your tefillin. Ve'ikra kriyat shema. Say shema. Ve'itpalel. Pray amidah. Ve'zohi malchut shamayim shalema. That is the proper order to accept the heavenly yoke in the proper way. So this doesn't mean that you shouldn't say Berachot Kriyat Shema. You shouldn't say the Berachot Kriyat Shema. You shouldn't say Baruch Shema. It doesn't mean that. But it's telling us, if you recall, in the last Gemara, we had one person that would say that we had a situation where he would say Shema, then he would put on Tefillin. So here he's just laying out the order for us. They're laying out the order. And something that's important is a person should go to the bathroom. First thing a person should do in the morning is go to the bathroom. Why? Because if a person doesn't go to the bathroom, then when they're praying to Hashem, there's really two issues. What are the two issues? One, your body is not clean, if you will. But what's the deeper reason? Exactly. Because then you put on your tefillin and you're gonna say, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Let me take it off. No, hold on. When you're going to pray, you should be focused. Go to the bathroom beforehand. You have something, you're going to somewhere important. You go on a trip, you go to the bathroom beforehand. So it's amazing how this is what the halacha says. Rabbi Yochanan is telling us first thing you should do. How'd that happen, Rama? Are you still there? You're still there. Your phone is still there. Who is that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. So this idea is that you go to the bathroom first thing, then you do netilat yadayim, and we're going to learn this halachot in a moment. You put on your talit, you put on your tefillin. Ashkenazim don't put on the talit before they're married; they only do it after they're married. But you put on your tefillin, you go through Baruch Shema, then you do Berachot Kriyat Shema, you say Shema, say Amidah. This is the proper order. V'zohi malchut shamayim shalema. This is the proper way of accepting Hashem in this order. Okay, let's keep going. I'm gonna come back for questions. We're gonna come back for halacha, but let's keep going. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan tells us another halacha. Kol hanifneh. Anyone who follows the following order. Anyone who goes to the bathroom, then does netilat yadayim, umaniach tefillin, then puts on his tefillin, v'koreh kriyat shema, then says shema, umitpalel, then prays amidah, ma'aleh alav hakatuv, the pasuk views him as though Ki'ilu bana mizbeach. It's as though, number one, he built a proper a mizbeach, a proper altar for God, and then v'ikriv alav korban, and then he brought a sacrifice on it. Meaning, he followed the right preparatory steps by building the altar. Why? Because he went to the bathroom and then he washed his hands. All of these preparatory steps, and then he brought the korban, which was his tefillah. So it's saying it's like a double whammy. Number one, he's going and preparing correctly, and then two, he's bringing the offering. Dichtiv, as the pasuk says, erchatz b'nikayon kapai. I wash my hands with cleanliness. I wash in purity my hands. Erchatz means I wash. B'nikayon means in purity, in cleanliness. Kapai means my hands. Va'asoveva et mizbachacha Adonai. And I surround your mizbeach. I circumvent. How do they translate it? I encircle your mizbeach, oh God. So when I wash my hands, I'm preparing, and then that leads me to bringing a mizbeach in front of God. Okay? Anyone, this pasuk sound anywhere familiar from any of the tefillot? Sorry? Hoshana Rabbah, very good. It's not just Hoshana Rabbah, it's all of the Hoshanot. Exactly. Hoshana Rabbah, we do this, we start off on Shosh Hoshana Rabbah, we do this on all of them. When we do the Hoshanot, we say Echatz b'nikayon kapai v'asovav mizbecha Adonai Hoshana, that one. Or Hoshana, that one. You know what I'm talking about? And then we go and we surround. That's why we say this pasuk. The pasuk here, Erchatz b'nikayon kapai, I wash my hands, v'asovav mizbechacha Adonai, and then I encircle your mizbech. Why do we say that? Because then we do that when we do those hakafot, when we do our hoshanot. Okay? So here, we're talking about the importance of washing hands before tefillah. We're going to keep going, and then we're going to see the halachot on this topic. Amar le Rava says, hold on a second. You think that when someone washes their hands, then it's as though he built an altar and about a sacrifice? I think it goes a step further. Lo savar la mark ilu taval. Don't you view it as though he also went to the mikveh? Dichtiv erchatz b'nikayon. It says, I will wash in cleanliness. V'lo katav architz kapai. It doesn't say, I will wash my hands. It says, I will wash. So there's some grammatical difference here. Erchatz means that I will wash. Architz means I will wash something. So architz means I'm washing my hands. Architz is like I do the verb to an object. Architz would mean I am washing my hands. But erchatz means I am washing. What does that mean? My whole body. So Rava says, you're viewing it as though you go and you build an altar and you bring a sacrifice to the altar. I'm throwing in the mikveh in this also. I'm also throwing that in. Okay? So what exactly does this mean? This means if you're not going to do Netilat Yadayim, you have to go to the mikveh every morning. Right? No, obviously not. But it's just, this is what you call agarata. Right? They're taking a pasuk and they're bringing it from different angles. What is agarata? Agarata is you have some gemarot that aren't necessarily halachic. It's not actually halacha. There's no difference. You do Netilat Yadayim and you pray, whether you're bringing a korban with washing your hands, or whether you're bringing a korban after going to the mikveh, it's both good. Both of it is good. There's no real difference here. And this goes back to what we said before, how there's sometimes where it's agarata gemara, agarata machloket. But you do see from here a proof that maybe it's good to go to the mikveh, where you see how there is some value in that. Okay, now, I want to do a little bit more of halacha about washing hands, and then we're going to see it inside, okay? We're going to keep moving. Let's go. Amar le Ravina la Rava. Ravina is one rabbi, tells another Amora Rava, and tells him the following. Chazimar, my master, sir, rabbi, I want you to hear this teaching. Haitzurba Rabbanan, there's one rabbi, the Atami Ma'arava, that came from the west. What is the west referring to? Israel. Why is Israel the west? Because this Gemara is written, it's called the Talmud Bavli, the Babylonian Talmud. This Gemara is written in Iraq, right? So the modern day Bavel. So this is where we were, Bavel. This is where the Jewish people at that time of the Talmud being written around the year, Ravina is around the year, let's say 400 or 500, when this is written then, the majority of Am Yisrael, the big rabbis at least, The Talmud Bavli was written in Babel. Okay, so this is discussion between two Babylonian rabbis, and they said there was a young rabbi that came from the west, meaning from Israel, came to visit Babel, and he gave us the following teaching. I want to tell you what it is. What is it? Ve'amar. He said the following: Mi she'en lo mayim lerchot yadav. Someone doesn't have water. It's time. He has to wash their hands. Let's say he has to say Shema Yisrael. Okay, he has to say Shema Yisrael. There's no water. Here, Baruch Hashem, you have running water. But let's say you're in a situation where there's no running water. You don't have water. It's time to say Shema Yisrael. What should you do? So this rabbi that came from Israel said, Mekaneach yadav, you can wipe your hands ba'afar, on earth, meaning on soil, uvitzror, on a rock, uvikismit, or on some wood. So what he's saying is, when we say you have to wash your hands, if you don't have water, you could just wipe it on anything. I don't know if you've ever seen this move. Okay, watch me. Okay, you already did it. If you're ever in a place where you see this move, you ever see this move? The only people who do this are people who learn this Gemara, and they are too lazy to get up and wash their hands. All right, so something happens. You're somewhere. You want to wash your hands, and you don't want to get up because no one's in a situation where there's no running water. Right, you could the water is right there. Okay, I'm gonna go like this, and now I'm gonna go pray. Right, so this move means that you're following this Gemara. Have you ever seen anyone do this before? Okay, you do it yourself. Yeah, the second I said it, you started doing
Rabbi, we are not seeing it on Zoom.
Oh, here, Mrs. Zorobabeli, do you see my hands like this?
No, we're not. I'm not seeing you at. Oh, sorry.
Look.
Okay. Yeah.
See what I'm doing?
No, that's what we do.
No. I'm not saying that's what we do. I'm saying you see people do that and we're going to explain the concept right now. Okay. I'm not saying we should do it. We're starting a new minhag now. No. I'm not saying that this is what we should do. What I'm saying is that let's say someone's hands are dirty and it's time to say Shema Yisrael and they don't have water to wash their hands. What this rabbi from Israel said was that wipe your hands on anything. You could pick a rock and wipe your hands because we're talking about if you have some actual dirt on your hands, you could wipe your hands on soil. Afar is soil. Do you realize, like, they're not, you want to wash your hands, so stick it in dirt. Right? But the dirt that we're talking about. Oh, LeBron James going like this. Yeah, exactly. Doing that. Like taking your hands, putting in this and throwing it up, or Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Yeah, exactly. What does Russell Crowe do?
Or he goes to a fight.
Yeah, exactly. So you could almost clean your hands. Let's say you have blood on your hands, you could wipe it off on dirt. Or let's say there's something dirty on your hands, you could get it off by wiping it on a piece of wood. This type of thing. So this is what Ravina.
Rabbi.
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Does the same hold true for washing before bread?
Okay. I'm not ready to talk about the halacha yet. We're right in the middle of a Gemara. We didn't even finish this flow yet. Let's finish this flow. Then we're going to talk about Shulchan Aruch and halacha. We'll talk about Shema Yisrael. We'll talk about Tefilin. We'll talk about Netilat Yadayim for bread. Okay? We'll get to all of that. We'll talk about it in the morning also. First, we have to follow the flow of the Gemara. Ravina says to Rava, these are two Babylonian rabbis, that there's a rabbi from Israel that came and said this. What do you think about it? So what did Rava respond? Amar le, Rava responds, Shapir Kamar. Rava says, he's right. Yeah, this rabbi is correct. Because this pasuk that we just read, that was our source for washing hands, was Erchatz Benikayon Kapai. So he says, this pasuk, Miketiv Erchatz Bamayim. Does the pasuk say that I wash my hands with water? It doesn't say that. What does it say? Erchatz Benikayon. I wash my hands in cleanliness. Kitiv. Kol midi de menakeh. With anything that can wipe. Anything. I wipe my hands with whatever. So if that is a wipe, a paper wipe, that works. If that's a piece of wood, that works. The pasuk doesn't say you have to wash your hands with water. It says you have to wipe your hands with something to clean it off. Daha Rav Chisda layet aman de mehader amaya beidan slota. Rav Chisda, actually, we're going to see the opposite. What would Rav Chisda do? Layet aman de mehader amaya. He would curse. I think curse is a strong word. Condemn. Condemn is probably better. He would criticize someone that it's time for him to pray, and he would leave to go wash his hands. Beidan dislota, the time of praying. It's like you're right now, it's a moment that you're about to pray. Let's say the Zman, the time is about to come up, and you're coming, you're here, and you're sitting like, sorry, I'm gonna go for a 15-minute walk to go get some water to wash my hands. What 15-minute walk? By the time you go, by the time you come back, you're gonna miss out on minyan, you're gonna miss out on the tefillah, you're gonna be late for everything else. Right now is not the time. So Rav Chesed, this is exactly what a student would say. Imagine Rav Chesed, the rabbi of a school, right? He's in the shiur, and it's time. Okay, guys, everyone, it's time for tefillah. He says, sorry, didn't wash my hands. I'm gonna go 20 minutes to go wash my hands. I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, so eventually you pick up on it, and the rabbi says, not now. You want to what? Right now is not the time. Yeah, just wipe your hands. Come on. No. In other words, Rav Chesed says, yes, it's valuable to wash your hands, but not at the cost of other things. Not at the cost of missing tefillah, not at the cost of missing minyan, not at the cost of losing a half hour of your time. Okay? So we're going to talk about the time element of it now. Okay? Everyone following me so far? What we said is, Rabbi Yochanan is telling us the proper order is in the mornings, make sure you wash your hands first, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, put on your tefillin, then you do the rest of prayer. That led us into the discussion of washing our hands. And we said when someone washes their hands before Shema and before Tefillah, it's as though they're bringing an altar and they're bringing a sacrifice and they're going through all the preparatory steps. And then there's another rabbi that says from Israel that said, you don't even have to wash your hands with water. You just have to wipe it, something to be clean. Very practical. You could take a baby wipe and wipe your hands, for example. Okay? And I know, Mr. Levy, on your question is still there about netilat yadayim of bread. It's still there. We're going to come to it. So now, the Gemara says, "V'hani mili l'kriyat Shema." But this leniency that you can forget about getting water, and instead you could just wipe your hands on a table or on a piece of wood, or you wipe your hands on something, that's only for Shema. Aval tefillah mehadar. For tefillah, you have to go after water. You have to look for it. You have to go searching for it. Okay? What's the difference between Shema and Tefillah? Okay? So there's different opinions. And we're going to see that actually Halachot, the Rambam rejects this difference. Because some say how I'll tell you what Rashi says. Rashi says, Shema is from the Torah. Tefillah is from the rabbis. Or sorry, the Shema, actually Rashi says, Tefillah has a Zman, has a time. Tefillah doesn't have a time. But we end up saying, no, it really does. It's a very problematic Rashi. Rashi tells us that the difference between Shema is there's a latest time for Shema. So since there's a latest time for Shema, if it's time for you to say Shema and you're going to miss it, say Shema, don't wash your hands. It's okay because you have to make the time. There's a latest time. Tefillah, there's no latest time. But everyone says on Rashi, what do you mean? There is. So, okay, so maybe there's no other answers. Maybe from the Torah, there isn't a latest time. Maybe from the Mitzvah from the Torah, there is no latest time. That the time for the Shema is only rabbinic. Sorry, for Amidah, for Tefillah is only rabbinic. Tefillah is Amidah, yes, correctly. But leave that aside. We're going to see it in Shulchan Aruch. But how much? So I told you for Tefillah, you have to go searching for water. Okay? What happens if there's water in the other country? Like, how is there a threshold of how much I have to go searching for water? Ad kama, the Gemara asks how far? Ad parsa, until the amount of time it takes to walk a parsa. A parsa is 4 mil. Each meal is about 1 kilometer. A meal is a distance. Mil is like from the same word as mile. It's not the same length as a mile, but it's like the same concept. It's about 1 kilometer. And what it says here is parsa. Parsa is 4 kilometers. So the amount of time it takes you to walk 4 kilometers, that's the amount of time that you have to be willing to go look for water. How long does it take you to walk 1 kilometer? 15 minutes. Sorry? It's a three-way machloket, but let's say it's about 18 minutes. There's one opinion that says 18 minutes, another one says 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 24 minutes. Okay, let's say 18 minutes. Do they explain how much it is down there?
Yeah,
What
I have some remarks.
For each, yeah, okay. For no, for a parsa. For a parsa. How much? 2.4 to 3 miles, and each kilometer is about 0.6 of a mile. So that's exactly 2.4. 0.6 times 4 is 2.4. Okay, so very good. It's about 1 kilometer. It's about 1 kilometer. That's what it ends up being, about 18 minutes. So in other words, 18 minutes times 4, 72 minutes. If you ever hear the number 72 minutes, you hear that number a lot in the halacha world, it's talking about 4 meals. Okay, so this is what halacha is saying. It's time for you to pray. You don't have water. You should be willing to go out of your way for an hour, for 72 minutes to get yourself water. That kama at parsa, which is 4 meals, which I'm telling you is, let's say each meal is 18 minutes, let's say 72 minutes. But that's only if it's in the direction that you're going. Okay? Think about you're driving somewhere and you have to take a pit stop. And like you want to stop in the middle of the road. No, keep going for another however long. As long as it's in the direction that you're going, that you're not going to lose out, I'm going to require you an hour's worth of driving. But if, in order to get water, you have to go in the opposite direction, afilu mil eno chozer, then even a meal which is 18 minutes, let's call it around 15 minutes or so, even that much, 18 minutes, you don't need to go back. You don't need to go out of your way for 18 minutes. It's a meal, an 18-minute meal, that time that you're not required more than that to go backwards. But if it's less than that, you should. In other words, what it's saying is, you're driving, you're going this way, and I need water for my tefillah. So, and I want to stop right now and pray. I don't have water. Am I allowed to do it? I don't have water. What am I supposed to do? So halakha says, you have to keep going. How long? 72 minutes. I'm calling it 72 minutes. It's 4 meals. You have to keep going for another hour to get yourself water before you pray. Okay? But let's say the only direction is going backwards, then I only would require you if it's 1 meal, which is 18 minutes. Now there's a lot of discussion of, are you talking about one way? Are you talking about 2 ways? I heard this morning, I was listening to Rabbi Leibowitz's, Rama, your camera's still on, by the way, so just be careful. Go home with you. I don't want to, okay, there you go, that's better. So Rabbi Leibowitz asked the following question. He said, what if I tell you that there's water 1 minute away from you? Okay? But here's the issue. By going to get that 1 minute away to get the water, you're going to miss the train. And when you miss the train, you're going to end up being an hour late, an hour and a half late. So what's the rule there? So I'm not going to require you to go out of your way if you're going to lose 18 minutes. But what if it's 1 minute? So this is what Rabbi Leibowitz quoted Rabbi Eliashib to say that counts. That counts as part of the 18 minutes. Meaning, I'm only going to require you to go backwards for water if it's going to cost you, let's say, 18 minutes worth of time. But more than that, total, if it's going to cost you because you're going to miss a train or because of some other thing, then you don't have to do it. Okay? It's a very interesting halacha. So we're going to see all of these halachot in Shulchan Aruch. Let's field some questions, then we're going to get into Shulchan Aruch. Yes, question.
What does it mean? Town, start off with them used to go Cherry Lane there? Or?
It means towards your destination. The idea is that if you're traveling already and you're going in, by keeping going, you're not going out of your way. So we're gonna require you to keep going. It's like instead of getting out of this exit because you want to get out of this exit, I'm gonna say no, you have to keep going. Go a few more to get yourself water. But if you're not going anywhere, like if you're sitting put, or if it's in the opposite direction, then the radius of how much water has to be within your radius in order for us to require for you to get up and go get it is 18 minutes. So if I'm in this room right now and there's water that's going to cost me an extra minute or extra 2 minutes, I'm required to go get it. If it's going to mean that it's going to cost me 18 minutes, then I'm not. But if I'm already going in some direction and it's like, I'm going to go there now or I'm going to go there in a half hour from now, then the requirement is no, you have to keep going because you're not losing anything. You're going to go in that direction anyway. That's the idea of the difference between 1 meal and 4 meal. Yes, question?
So like, say you're like camping 10 people and you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't walk. But you know there's like a site half an hour away that has water, but you wanted to be on there, then you shouldn't go get the water and go out your way half an hour and then come back like doing that the other guy. Because
what?
you don't have water by you, we have water like half an hour away, you have a minyan that
So now, okay, so you're saying the question is, what if, okay, I'm gonna generalize your question. What is your question?
That would meet the requirement that you don't have to go out of your way for water. You just pray without washing.
Okay, so that's a slightly different question. Because, yeah, you're saying is, what if water is not accessible? Then what? But your question I heard is a little bit different, is what if it's an option between getting water and praying with minyan? Which is a different question. Like, you could get water, but by getting water, I'm going to lose out on minyan. Was that your question?
and you're not going out of your way, like, you're in the 18 minutes, you're over the 18 minutes, but you're choosing to pray by yourself and doing it.
Right. So what takes precedence? Washing your hands with water or praying with minyan? And your question is, what happens if I don't have water? So what exactly is my option? Okay. So can anyone answer Joey's question? That should be a little bit more straightforward. Very good. That's the case if you're not required to get water. That's the case that you could wash your hands with anything that's that you could use to clean your hands. So that's the situation where you do the wipe of your hands on this. Correct. So we're gonna exactly. There is some caveats to this, but yes. Okay. Very good. I think now is a good time to get into the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, we're gonna see Rambam. We're gonna see Shulchan Aruch. Heavy halacha tonight. Okay, but it's very practical because Baruch Hashem, we all pray, and Baruch Hashem, we all have hands. So this is very practical halachot. Let's see Shulchan Aruch. Sure.
Would you say your prayers are not accepted or no? Like, because most people don't think about it.
Okay, so let's see the halachot. Okay, here we go. This is Shulchan Aruch Seif Siman Daled. Okay, we're gonna see a bunch of halachot. Let's see this one. Siman Daled Seif. What is that? 21. Okay, 21. I want to see 21. I want to see 22. This, you know what? It's okay. Let's just do 22. So this is talking about Tefillah. This is talking about Tefillah. This is also talking about Shema Yisrael. Okay, this is talking about in the morning. You wake up in the morning. Im ein lo mayim. Let's say someone doesn't have water. So Joey, this falls into your category of you don't have water within your radius. Yikaneach yadav. You can wipe your hands. Bitzror. Tzror is pebbles, or ba'afar, or in soil, or b'chol miti demenakeh, or anything with which you could wipe your hands. V'varech asher kiddushanu al nekiyut yadayim, on the cleanliness of our hands. We don't make this berachot anymore. No one makes this beracha. But it's amazing what Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says that if someone washes their hands with water, they say asher kiddushanu al netilat yadayim, and if someone doesn't have water, they say asher kiddushanu al nikiyut yadayim. Unbelievable. That's a nice trivia. But we don't do this. But that's the beracha that he says. V'yo'il litfila, and this would be good for tefillah in that morning. You'd be able to pray. You could say Shema, you could say tefillah, all of that is good. Ava, Shulchan Aruch brings in some mysticism for us, some Kabbalah for us, some concept that's not in the Gemara. Lo leha'avir ruach ra'ash alehen. There's another concept. The concept is that when someone goes to sleep, there is a ruach ra'ah, some spirit, some bad spirit, maybe some spirit of death or something that remains on your hands when you wake up in the morning. When you go to sleep, you're experiencing some portion of death because our neshama has left us. And now when our neshama returns, there is some death remaining on our hands. This is from Kabbalah. And so the only way to get that ruach ra'ah off our hands is with water. I'm not going to say anything else. This concept is not in the Gemara. You saw it. Didn't say this in the Gemara. But this is a concept that Shulchan Aruch is bringing. And therefore, what Shulchan Aruch is telling us is, for your tefillah, you're fine, but you still need to wash your hands eventually. You still need to wash your hands. So maybe in the morning you could go ahead and do this, but you're going to have to wash your hands because of the fact that there's ruach ra'ah. And the next halacha says, "Lo tiknu netilat yadayim ela lekriyat shema u'tefillah." The washing of our hands is required. Ram is half answering your question, not fully, but it's for when do you have to wash your hands? For Shema and for tefillah. Aval berachot shacharit, but the berachot hashachar, the hanoten lasachmi bina lavchim ben yom ben layla, pokeach erim, matir asrim, all of those berachot, yachol levarech kodem netilah, you can technically say them before you wash your hands. Ella im ken hu yashen al mitato arum, unless you go to sleep naked. Okay, don't tell me. I'm not interested. But if you're going to sleep naked, then you can't make a bracha before you do netilat yadayim. Why? She'az asur lahaskir at Hashem ad she'inakeh otam. Because then you need to wash. You need to do netilat yadayim first thing. Why? Because the assumption is your hands move around, and if you're naked, your hands go to areas of your body that are dirty, and then you can't say the name of Hashem with dirty hands, and so therefore you have to wash your hands. If a person is going in the woods, and when they're in the woods, they're sleeping in a sleeping bag and they're wearing all of their clothing on them, their hands are exactly where you're wearing gloves when you go to sleep. So when you wake up, the only thing you need to do netilat yadayim for is this for Shema and for Tefillah. You could say all of the berachot. You could say all of your berachot because your hands are clean, other than the ruach ra. So you're gonna have to eventually wash it, but you could do Tefillah. You could say the berachot without washing your hands. However, if you go to sleep naked and your hands and there's parts of your body that are dirty, that are exposed, so then you cannot say any berachot. So this is the process of what you should follow, and we're not done. The process is in the morning, first thing you do is you go to the bathroom, relieve yourself. Most people, first thing they do is check their phone. And I think we've spoken about this. That they don't care how dirty their hands are. That phone is dirtier than the toilet, by the way. But you might as well. So the first thing you do is check your phone. After that, I'm kidding. The first thing you do is go to the bathroom, clean your body, then you wash your hands. You come out of the bathroom and you say the bracha of netilat yadayim. Or if you're not dressed, you get dressed, then you do netilat yadayim, and then you say all of the brachot. Rama, sorry, you hit your limit of questions. Sorry, you expired. Okay, I'll give you one more, but that's it. I'm gonna start charging you $20 a month. So this way you could have, like these things, they give you more volume. Go ahead. Okay.
So you're saying it's okay to first relieve yourself, but I'm not sure if that's correct because I have a friend who was shadowing Rabbi Eliezer ben David, alav shalom, and he wouldn't get out of bed until he first washed his hands. So literally someone would bring him the washing pan, and first he would wash his hands before he does that. You can't get out of bed until you wash your hands, then you start everything. So isn't that the proper way?
So not according to the Gemara, and the Gemara. Okay, you know what, Rama, here.
Where is that from?
So let me show you.
That's Kabbalistic.
So let me show you what Rabbi Yochanan says. This is the order. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. This is something we learned. Yipane, go to the bathroom, v'yitol yadav, and wash your hands. It's very clear. Then the next line, Rabbi Yochanan says, Kol hanifne, someone goes to the bathroom, and notel yadav. Okay, so according to the Dina Talmud, that's not thing. However, there is this idea of having like a bowl, exactly, having a bowl next to your bed. Mina din is not required. This is Al Pi Kabbalah. There's a big difference between the Talmud and Kabbalah as to why we're washing our hands. There's a big difference. Halacha is telling us, Halacha is telling us you have to wash your hands because your hands are dirty. And it's not proper to praise Hashem and say the name of Hashem when your hands are dirty. Okay? Kabbalah is saying it has to do with this ruach ra'ah, this bad spirit that's on our hands. So according to Kabbalah, you have to get that off immediately because there's some form of death that's on it. So you have to wash it. So this is what the Ben Ish Chai says on Pi Kabbalah. So you do it, you wash your hands right away. Okay, and exactly like what you said, but that's I'm not reading that right now. What I'm reading is halacha.
But if you've done it at home and you come to shul, people do it again before they pray. So there's 2 times to wash. Once you do it in the morning when you
have to do it 3 times. You're going to the bathroom.
No. I'm saying you did it when you wake up after you went to the bathroom.
Yes.
You come to the shul, you can't pray until you wash your hands again, because you can't start the tefillah until you've actually washed your hands. Isn't that also part of it?
These are the halachot that we're learning. This is exactly the topic that we're doing. Let's do the halachot. Rama, you're asking what the halacha is as we're doing the halacha. We're actually doing the halacha. Look at the Rambam. Okay? This is actually the halacha. Hold on. This is the Rama halacha. Okay, so this is the Rambam. Okay, so this is the Rambam on this topic, the 3rd parak of Kriyat Shema. We're going to do Shema and we're going to do Tefillah. Hakoreh Shema when someone is saying Shema, Rochetz yadav b'mayim kodem sheikra, first needs to wash his hands. First needs to wash his hands before he says the Shema. Higia zman kriyata, if the time of the Shema comes, v'lo matzah mayim, and he doesn't have water, kodem sheikra, lo yi'acher kriyata, if before you read the Shema you don't have water, so don't push it off. V'yelech levakesh mayim, and you're gonna go looking for water, you're gonna end up losing out on your Shema Yisrael. Ela mikaneach yadav be'afar o b'tzor o b'korah, wipe your hands on something, v'kayot bahen, on anything, v'koreh, and read the Shema. Next halacha, this is about Shema. Next halacha, the Rambam talks about Tefillah. What he says, the similar concept, but when someone needs to pray, and I think Rama, this is what you're asking. There are 5 things that if you don't do them, it disqualifies your Tefillah, meaning your Tefillah is not proper. The first one is washing your hands, taharat yadayim. So second halacha, he says, how do you wash your hands? Taharat yadayim ketzad. What is the purification of your hands? You have to wash your hands until the perek, until the wrist, and then you pray. If someone is traveling, and it comes to the time of tefillah, and he doesn't have water, if between him and the water there are 4 meals, which is 8,000 amot, you have to keep going. Wash your hands, and then you should pray. But if there is more than that, wipe your hands on anything. So the Rambam tells us the same as Shema, same with Tefillah. Wipe your hands on anything and pray. Now, let me show you the halacha that the Shulchan Aruch says about Tefillah, and then we'll answer all of these questions. So one more second. Tur Shulchan Aruch, Siman Samech Bet Sif Gimel, Samech Bet Sif Gimel. I could do like a Samech Bet is 62 Sif Gimel. Website. Boom. No. Sorry, wrong one. Tur Shulchan Aruch. 92.4. Sorry. 92.4. Here we go. Sarich lirchotz yadav b'mayim. This is before someone prays. Again, this is Rama, your question of do I have to wash my hands before I pray? Sarich lirchotz yadav b'mayim. A person has to wash his hands. And then he says the same concept. Im yeshlo, if he has water. And if he doesn't, vim ein lo, sarich lachazor acharayim. And if not, he has to go searching for it ad parsa, until a parsa, which we said is 72 minutes. And that's if he's traveling. And it's on his path. But if he's going to have to go in some opposite direction, then ad mil chozer, up until 1 meal, 18 minutes. So, and if he's afraid that by doing this he's going to lose the time of tefillah, you wipe your hands on anything. Wipe your hands on anything, and that's fine. Here, this is Rama's question. Rachatz yadav shacharit. You wash your hands in the morning. Okay, so it depends. If you do this like the Kabbalists, you do it right away as you wake up, or as I said, you go to the bathroom and wash your hands. Whatever it is, Rachatz yadav shacharit. You did it once. V'siach da'ato. Yisiach dato means you got distracted, and you didn't go straight into prayer, but you did other things with your hands. Tzrichim netila l'tefillah. You need to wash them again before you pray. Im yesh lo mayim. Again, assuming you have water. If not, we have all of those same qualifications. Afapi she'eno yodea lahem shum lichluch. Even though you don't know that they got dirty. See, here's very interesting. Before you pray, you have to wash your hands. What happens if I wash my hands in the morning? This is like what Rama's question is. I wash my hands at home, and then I came to the kanisa, and I'm going to pray. I already washed my hands at home. Did my hands get dirty? No, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to make them particular. I didn't change any diapers. There's nothing particularly making them dirty. If you got distracted, which is very important, if you got distracted, which means your mind wasn't conscious of your hands, then you have to wash your hands again. But you don't make a bracha the second time. And if you don't have water, you don't need to wash your hands. Right? What's very important here, Rama, is that he says, if you got distracted. Tell me, what does that mean? So in Rama's scenario, I'm at home. I wash Netilat Yadayim. I come to the Bet Knesset. Shulchan Aruch says, if you got distracted, then you need to wash your hands before tefillah. What is that qualifier of if you got distracted? What does that mean? Yes? If you weren't consciously thinking about it, then you need to wash your hands. Okay, so let's say you do Netilat Yadayim after you touch your shoes.
I go to their shoes after they, you do it till I time, you get dressed, and then, or they get dressed and then they get.
So this is what I'm saying, how it's, you can, let's say, do Netilat Yadayim, right? Let's say you go to the bathroom, you do Netilat Yadayim. Okay, you have shuli, you have ons that there's no laces. Or let's say you have slippers. Okay, it's a good point. Put that aside for a second. Okay, because that's a situation where I know my hands got dirty. Let's say I don't know that my hands got dirty. I did Netilat Yadayim, I left the house, and I came to Bet Knesset. Tell me what this qualifier of if I got distracted, I have to wash my hands. What does that mean?
You know, you're washing your hands, you're gonna scratch something, like.
So-
your hand somewhere, you don't know.
But what happens if I know? Then you don't need to. Okay? What this means is, if I wash Netilat Yadayim, and let's say, for example, I know where the Bet Knesset is, and I leave my home, and I know my hands are clean, and I know I'm not touching anything to make them dirty. I know that there was no situation where I put my hands in a place that was dirty, and I go to Bet Knesset, I don't technically need to wash them again. Because what is Shulchan Aruch saying? He's saying, if hisiach dato, if you don't remember what you did, if you had a long commute, if you had a long drive, and if you did a couple things, if along the way you did this and you checked that and you played with this and you did that, and it was an hour later, okay, maybe they got dirty. But if I'm aware of my hands, I did it at the time and I went straight, then I don't need to. So to your point, yes, you need to, unless you know that your hands are still clean. Okay? Yes, Andy.
Wash my hands. I put on gloves, I go touch my phone, I make my lunch, I pack it, I get in my car, I drive to Canada. I take off the gloves. My hands are clean, so I don't have to wash it, but I'm very distracted when my hands like gloves on.
But it's not physical, it's spiritual.
No, it's not. It's very physical. Yes, because how do we know it's
Spiritual part.
so Rama, that's the thing. You're inserting Kabbalah into this Gemara halacha discussion. The Rambam nowhere says it's spiritual. If it's spiritual, the only thing that can get it off is the water. That's what Shulchan Aruch explained to us. If it's physical, even soil could get it off. A person gets dung on his hands because he wiped himself. He went to the bathroom, he wiped himself, and his wipes were very thin. He got his hands dirty. Okay? A person can clean his hands with soil. He could go stick his hand, he could do the Russell Crowe, LeBron James like this, sticking in dirt, and he's actually cleaning his hands with dirt. And now it permits him to pray. You get it? This is what Halachah is telling us. This is what our entire flow of the Gemara was. Your idea about the Ruach Tumah is important, but that's not the discussion of our Gemara here. That's another discussion that's layered on for practical Halachah. Yes, you have Ruach Ra'ah on your hands. Yes, you need to do Netilat Yadayim. But don't misconstrue the Rambam. The Rambam doesn't say anything about this being spiritual. And the same with the Gemara does not say anything about this being spiritual. It's very physical dirt. That's so much so that if you wipe it on a piece of wood or if you wipe it on soil, you're cleaning it. That's enough to get this physical dirt off your hands. Okay, some more questions? Yes. Yeah, Ben. Yeah. Okay, so we have a few questions. One question is about Netilat Yadayim that Mr. Levian asked. And now you're asking another question of Kohanim. So here we go. The Netilat Yadayim question, Mr. Levian. Mr. Levian, are you with me? This is your question of Netilat Yadayim.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so there's a lot of discussion about this, and it seems like the answer is no. There is a difference between, or at least there's a machloket. All right, maybe that's a better way of answering the question. There's a machloket. There's a difference between the washing our hands of tefillah and going back to our own point and the washing our hands of bread. Why do we have to do netilat yadayim before we eat bread? The answer is this was a takana that Shlomo HaMelech established because it all has to do with tumah and tahara. purity and impurity. There's a whole big discussion about this, and this is not our topic right now. Maybe one day we'll get into the laws of netilat yadayim before bread, but it's related to tum'ah, which is spiritual impurity. And since it's related to spiritual impurity, the way you get it off is by washing your hands. Then wiping it doesn't help you. You need to have water to remove that spiritual. That's why we do netilat yadayim, is because of a gezerah of the hands is on tumah of an entire body. Again, it all has to do with terumah and going to the mikveh. So it's a whole different discussion. It's not the same thing. Here, when we're talking about Shema, when we're talking about Tefillah, we're talking about very specifically, your hands need to be clean as you're uttering the name of Hashem, as you're standing in front of prayer in front of God. So in that situation, you could wipe your hands to get the dirt off your hands. Or maybe the more practical situation nowadays is using hand sanitizer. Someone's hands are dirty and he wants to pray and he puts hand sanitizer, assuming he doesn't have water, it's not any worse than sticking your hands in dirt, Russell Crowe style. So of course that works for tefillah. But for ruach ra'ah, which is what the Kabbalists tell us, come in the morning, or for netilat yadayim, Mr. Lavian, which is another gezerah on our hands because of tumah and ta'ara, it doesn't work for that. This is what some say. Others say it does work, but the simple understanding is this is only for tefillah and tefillah Shema. Now, Mr. Azizi, your question about Kohanim, I'll tell you like this. One of the halachot, which you might know this, let's say you do netilat yadayim in the mornings, and you know you're not distracted, which actually this is good practice for our Kohanim, okay? So this is good practice. When you do netilat yadayim in the morning, a good practice should be to be aware of your hands. Why? Because if it comes to a situation where you can't wash your hands before doing Kohanim, let's say you come into the minyan and it's running late, you pop off your shoes, you could go there without washing your hands because your hands are already clean, right? Now, can you do the situation of kol miti de menakeh? I don't know. Honestly, I should have spoke with you before the shiur because I wasn't thinking about you as a kohen. Sorry, but I actually don't know if you're a kohen and there's no water and you're in a situation where you know your hands are dirty. That's the question. Can you wipe your hands to do kohanim? I don't know.
Side, if you were distracted, you did your morning tefillah, and you put your hands, you're running late, and Levi and everybody are already gone, and you still have time to make it. Technically, you'll just go.
If you're not distracted, then yes. Then you can rely on your netilat yadayim of the morning. Exactly. Then you could say, I already washed my hands. My hands are clean. So I think that's why I think I'm not a kohen. If I were a kohen and I were in this situation, I would try to make it a habit of mine that when I do netilat yadayim in the morning, be careful with your hands in the event that you just have to drop a berkat kohanim out of nowhere, that you're ready to do it without the requirement of having to wash your hands. Okay, obviously it doesn't come up that much, but I think that's important. I owe you that. If you could please remind me, I'll look it up of this situation of can you wipe your hands if you don't have water? For berkat kohanim, hands got dirty, can you wipe your hands if you don't have water? Yes?
Is there a time at which you can wash your hands?
Rama's question of Mincha and Arvit, I also have to answer. Okay, yes, yeah?
I'm thinking a book about minhagim of minhag of tefillah, and it was talking about during the month of Elul that Ashkenazim go to say.
What's the question?
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not morning technically yet.
Okay.
You do not like the diet.
Yes. Okay, so this question comes up quite a bit if you're awake before. Let's say if you're up for the all-nighter of Shavuot. So you should do netilat yadayim from Alot HaShachar and not before that. So if it's nighttime, you don't do it. Starting from Alot HaShachar, as I believe this is what Halacha says, is that's when the requirement kicks in. Now, why? Because that's really when you're entering into the time of tefillah. This is all higia zman. So you're correct. The time of washing your hands kicks in at the time that you're ready to pray. Before you're ready to pray, then the time of tefillah does not kick in yet. The time of netilat yadayim does not kick in yet. Okay. However, going back to Rama's point of this ruach tum'ah, if you wake up at 3 a.m., you have ruach tum'ah on your hands and when you wake up. So in that situation, you should wash your hands. Okay? Then this is where it gets very tricky because for tefillah, you're not ready to wash your hands yet. But for ruach tum'ah, you are ready to wash your hands. So what should you do? If you go to sleep, you could wash your hands. You could do netilat yadayim, and then you keep your hands clean. As long as you're focused, then you would be able to rely on that. Otherwise, you're going to have to wash your hands again. Okay, the halachot of netilat yadayim is really, really very complicated. Not complicated. It's just a lot because there's a lot of situations. Rama's question: what about other tefillot? You tell me. Mincha. I want to go pray mincha. Right now, I'm going to go pray arvit. You tell me. Do I have to wash my hands before? Why would it be any different? Exactly. Very good. The answer is there is no difference. There is no difference. If your hands are dirty, you have to wash your hands before tefillah. The Rambam tells us this is one of the things that disqualify us from tefillah. The main difference between the morning and the afternoon is, from the Kabbalistic side, the ruach tum'ah. Because in the mornings, you're going to have to use water to get this impure spirit off your hands. In the afternoon, as we've seen, if you don't have access to water, you could use kol midi de menakeh. You could use anything to wipe your hands. In the morning, you could do that for the tefillah, but you can't do that for the ruach tum'ah. Okay?
If it's a physical thing.
Rama, sorry. People are raising their hands. I'll come to it. Yes.
Saying that's locked in the bathroom.
Can you say the bracha netilat yadayim in the bathroom? The answer is no, because you're saying God's name. Now, there's different, okay, it's another discussion that I don't think we're going to go into today. We're not going into tonight. There is some discussion about whether our bathrooms are considered halachic bathrooms. Because the way bathrooms used to be is that the feces would remain there. Our bathrooms, you hit the flush, the feces are gone. So technically speaking, it may not have the same halachic status as the bathroom. That said, we don't make brachot in there. So no, you should not make bracha in the bathroom. And it's a situation where you have to go, let's say someone has to do netilat yadayim in the bathroom because there is nowhere else to get water. You wash your hands in the bathroom, dry your hands outside the bathroom. Because the drying process is a part of the bracha. So this might happen. Let's say you're a guest at someone's house and there's no way of, they don't have a sink in the, you don't have access to a kitchen, or you're in a hotel and there's no sink. Here is something you can do. Not ideal. You do netilat yadayim in the bathroom, you step out of the bathroom, you say your bracha, and then you dry your hands. Make sure you leave the drying for outside. Yes, Rama.
Why can't you use soap and wash your hands normally instead of using a cup? You just do that, right?
This is because this is the way Chachamim made their takana.
It's a physical thing, it's not spiritual.
Yeah, and the Chachamim made their takana to do it this way with the cup. So we follow the takana Chachamim.
Soap won't count.
If you do soap without water or without a cleat, for example, without the cup, no. So you have to follow you won't make that bracha. You won't make the bracha netilat yadayim. It has to be done with an adlan in that cup. Yes, Tomer.
Brian said something about nakedness and Shema. What constitutes nakedness?
Okay.
If I'm wearing boxers or like.
Where did you see that? What do you mean, niggas?
It was one of those 5 things.
Oh man, I tried to skip over it, but I couldn't. Well, you didn't let me skip over it.
I remember you said, no one told me.
I said one of them was washing your hands, and now do that, and you're like, but wait, I want to talk about being in the nakedness. So hold on. So when it comes to nakedness, where is it?
In like without a shirt or like in my bathing suit or.
Good question.
Okay, this is zero relevance to tonight's shiur. It's excellent question, but what? I'm sorry. I know, and I skipped over it. Okay, it's a good question. It's a good question. Can you say Shema when, depending on how you're dressed? If you're wearing a bathing suit, if you're wearing your boxers, if there's a lady, the halachot for a man the same as a halachot for a woman. Can a woman in front of herself, is that different from a man in front of a woman? The 1,000,001 halachot here, and we're already past time. Excellent question. What I will say is that you cannot say Shema when you're naked. Okay, that is what the Rambam was saying. If someone is covered, a man is covered in their private area, and there's a separation between the upper body and the lower body, let's say they're wearing like a belt or something, then they would technically be able to say Shema Yisrael if they're not, let's say, wearing a shirt. But it's not a topic for now. Maybe it's a topic, we're going to get into this topic later on about nakedness and Shema Yisrael. Be'ezrat Hashem, when we get up to it, remind me then. It should be, I believe, on Daf Kaf Dalet, 24. So we're almost there. Yeah.
We're supposed to wash our hands. Why, like, on Shabbat, ideally, should we use in between Shacharit and Musaf, should we go wash our hands quickly?
Okay. Excellent question. What about Musaf? What about Musaf? So the way it really should be is that you start Shacharit, you do the Torah, you pray Musaf, you're not doing anything else, you're not touching anything else. The only thing you're touching is your Siddur, and your hands should be clean the whole time. Okay? If someone in the middle has to go to the bathroom, absolutely they have to wash their hands. There's no question. The question is what happens if you're eating some beef jerky and some cholent and stuff like that. Yeah, you really should wash your hands. And this goes back to what I was saying at the way I started off this shiur is there are times when we know halachot that we don't always follow. Mincha, very often, someone is running to a mincha minyan and they don't wash their hands. But if you just go 1 minute earlier, you could wash your hands. Or arvit, I'm sure that there could be someone that leaves a shiur and goes wash their hands. I'm going to tell you 2 halachot that I didn't look at the Shulchan Aruch tonight. The Shulchan Aruch says that any part of your body that's sweaty makes your hands dirty. So he says, he says scratching your scalp. He says that's covered. Very good. A guy who wants to stick his arm under his armpit, it's sweaty. Before you go pray, you should wash your hands. A person is sticking his hand inside of his pants. We already spoke about that. The hands, there's parts of your body that's dirty. A guy is touching his foot in the middle of, and while he's doing something, he's giving himself a pedicure. And he has to wash his hands before he does praise Tefillah. A person, the interesting Shulchan Aruch says that someone is grabbing onto his earwax. He goes like this, like that. These are things that makes your hands dirty, and it's not proper for Tefillah. So let's put the entire shiur in one bow. Okay, give 2 bows. So Tomer number 1, wear clothing when you pray. That's number 1 for your tone. But if wrapping the entire shiur in a bow is when a person is going into Tefillah, his hands should be clean. Her hands should be clean. So before prayer, a person should keep this in mind. There's the Kabbalistic side of Ruach Tumah. That's one aspect, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about going to sleep. We're talking about when someone is hold on. Yeah, come back. What halakha, I was gonna spotlight you. What halakha says is that when someone goes to prayer, they should wash your hands. If right now you're gonna go catch an arvit minyan, before you go catch your arvit minyan, you should wash your hands. Why? Because you're going into prayer. You're preparing your hands. Yes, question. Okay, excellent question. Why don't we make a bracha behind it? It's machloket. And then since there's a machloket, we say safek brachot la'akel. Because since there's some opinions, according to the Rambam, you really should. Like the Rambam was telling us, is like this is one of the things that are holding back your tefillah. But we have this rule of safek brachot la'akel. When it's unclear whether you should make a bracha or not, we don't. So why don't we make a bracha? The answer is because it's machloket. And since it's machloket, we don't. There are certain times we do. Let's say in the morning, for before the shacharit one, before mechan arvit, we don't make over the bracha. Safek brachot. Any other questions? Yeah.
Scratch myself. I can't really get up.
So.
I think I won't get up.
Yeah. Okay, but especially it's like they're old, you're elderly, you're worried. Okay, you don't want to inconvenience them. Okay, so you remember what we said? Rav Chisda would curse or condemn, or he would criticize people that when it's time for prayer, they would get up and they would wash their hands. You have to use some judgment. Yes, you have to use some judgment also. If it's going to be disruptive and it's going to create issues, I'll give you. There's many examples that sometimes you have to keep the bigger picture in mind. So if someone says right now he's about to pray, but then in order to do this, you're going to interrupt and disrupt, and you're going to create issues, and then you're going to go there, and you're going to come back, and you're not going to be focused, it might be better to just do one of these. Or let's say someone is chazan. Oh, this is my favorite. A guy is chazan. As he's chazan, he gives his scalp a good scratch, and he gets some dandruff under your nails. So what does the guy say? The guy says, "Sorry, everybody, stay put. I'm going to wash my hands." What are you doing? What are you in the middle of your chazanut giving yourself a scratch? This isn't the shower right now. What are you scrubbing yourself? But now that you scrub yourself, you're going to make everyone wait a half hour so you can go do it at the other time? Okay, you made a mistake. You give yourself one of these as a chazan, as this example. You shouldn't do it, but if you do it, now you're gonna make everyone wait. Okay, maybe there are times where it's better to do it, and like you take that walk of shame. So this way you never make this mistake again. But is that fair to everyone else? No. So okay, we learned the general rules tonight. I hope it's clear. There's one requirement to have clean hands before Shema and Amidah. There's another requirement of Ruach Tum'ah based on the Kabbalah that when you wake up in the morning, nothing to do with Tefillah, nothing to do with Tefillah. When you wake up in the morning, you have to get the Ruach Tum'ah off your hands, and the only way to do that is with water. But that's a different halacha from what we're talking about tonight in our Gemara. Our Gemara was talking about cleanliness, keeping your hands clean before prayer. And if you have water, you do it with water for obvious reasons. If not, depending on how far the water is, you have the option of wiping your hands on other things, and you have to be able to keep those calculations in mind. Okay? Yes?
Okay, keep saying with our mouth, not with our hands. What's all this focus on cleaning your hands? Your mouth is clean, not your hands. So why are we cleaning our hands? Why are we cleaning our mouth?
Yeah,
It's the words that we're using. It's our thoughts. Our hands are not even part of it.
excellent question.
We have to brush our teeth.
Oh, so he's saying, so since you pray with your mouth, you have to use mouthwash. Okay, so why do you have to wash your hands? Can anyone give me an idea? It's an excellent question. Ram is asking an excellent question. What does the hands have to do with tefillah? Yes. Oh, okay, very good. So there could be because initially you needed to use your hands. Okay, yes, Josh. Okay, so that's another thing. Josh is taking this back to the concept of distraction. We said at the beginning, why should you go to the bathroom first thing? So that it doesn't distract you from tefillah. Here's another idea. When your hands are dirty, a person has blood on his hands, you know what's going to happen during the tefillah? Like this, and then like this, or like that. You're going to distract yourself. You keep your hands clean, you're not going to distract yourself. I have another idea. Yeah, tell me, I have another idea? Sorry? You need your entire body to be clean. Okay, there's another idea. There's a concept of halacha, which is called yadot askanioten. What does that mean? Your hands are very, very busy. And it could be that your hands are maybe the dirtiest part of your body. And if you have like a watch that like buzzes when you wash your hands, all of a sudden, right now, when there's like a global pandemic, the big thing that they were always saying is like, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. You go to every single thing, it's like, employees must wash hands. Everyone has to wash hands. Why? The guy's going in the kitchen and he's cooking. Why his hands have to be clean? What about his mouth? If his mouth is dirty, it's a problem. The hands are the thing that touch stuff. The hands are the things that easily get dirty, and the hands are the things that could easily be transferred to other things. So the halakha tells us that hands are very busy. So hands get dirtier if your hand gets dirtier than your elbow, because your hand is touching things more. So the fact that you have to wash your hands is a very practical reason. It's because it's just dirtier than everything else. Especially nowadays, your hands are probably more dirty than any other part of your body. That's the truth of the matter. Is your hands are probably the most dirty, especially if you think about microbes and like bacteria. Any other questions?
That's still to wash with and just your hand other.
Yes. Okay, excellent question. So what we were saying is that the way the halacha is said is that you have to do it with a natlan, you have to use it with it, but this is the way Chachamim established it. If a person doesn't have a cup, then are you allowed to wash your hands without a cup? You tell me based on tonight's Gemara. Yes, how do you know? Because you're allowed to wash your hands in dirt. Of course you're allowed to wash your hands with water without a cup. But ideally, you have to do it in with the cup in the proper way. Okay. Tonight's shiur was somewhat unique. We did a lot of halachot. I hope we gained from this. Okay, everyone, go wash your hands.